Hi, my name is Matthew Bellisario. Welcome to the BellisarioSonic YouTube channel from the heart of the Deep South on the outskirts of Birmingham, Alabama, where we talk about music, records, do record reviews, interviews, and more. If you guys missed the last conversation I had this past Sunday with Corey Weeds, go check that out. Wonderful conversation with him. I really appreciate him coming on the channel and talking about all the great records that are coming out on his label, as well as some vinyl record scores that he picked up in New York City. So a lot of fun talking to him. If you missed the week before, I had Eric Alexander. Coming up, I've got Benito Gonzalez coming up this Sunday. Wonderful piano player. A lot of fun to talk with him. So go ahead and check those out. Today, I'm going to be doing another CD review, and then I promise I'll get back to doing more vinyls. I've got several of them here I need to review, but this one caught my eye. Corey sent these CDs over to me, and this one's called Trilogy featuring Scott Hamilton. Now, one great thing, as I said on this channel, is discovering new musicians, new music, new albums. And again, I love to promote working artists and independent record labels because that's really what's keeping jazz alive for the most part. This album here, I was unfamiliar with the musicians on this album. And there's so many great jazz musicians to discover that I'm realizing it's like, wow, there's a lot I don't know. And I've not heard this, so it's going to be a reaction video for you guys. I've not heard this CD. It really looks interesting. It's called The Slow Road, but it says Trilogy featuring Scott Hamilton. So I started digging in and doing some research. And if you guys who follow this channel know that I do some research on all of these reviews that I do, sometimes they're shorter introductions that talk about the musicians. Sometimes they're longer. This is going to be a little bit of a longer one because I was unfamiliar with all of the musicians on this. This Trilogy core band that Scott Hamilton's playing with here is made up of Miles Black on piano, Bill Coon on guitar, Jodi Proznick on bass. And you have Scott Hamilton here who plays the tenor saxophone. This looks like a very interesting record. There's no drums on it. So I have not heard this again, so this will be a reaction video for me. But I started looking and doing some research, and I type all these up when I do research on these musicians, and I type everything up so that I can have everything organized somewhat when I do these reviews. You guys know these reviews are pretty much kind of off the cuff, except for the preparation, except for the preparation that I do beforehand. So, Scott Hamilton, though, was born in 1954 in Providence, Rhode Island. Again, playing the tenor sax on this. During his early childhood, he heard a lot of jazz through his father's big record collection. That's how he got interested in jazz and learning the jazz greats. He played several instruments when he was a kid, including the drums at the age of 5, piano at the age of 6, and played harmonica for a while. He had some clarinet lessons when he was about 8, and that's his only formal music education. He said he was attracted to Johnny Hodges when he was younger, but he did not start playing the saxophone until around 16 years old, where he really started playing it seriously. Now, in conversing with a lot of these musicians, you hear there's a repeated pattern. Most people like to come to New York, and that's kind of where they become familiar with the jazz language, how they start playing with more musicians, maybe mentorship, schools, things like that. New York is still the place to go to try to get into the jazz scene. And he moved to New York, Scott did, in 1976 at the age of 22. And through Roy Eldridge, you guys know him, the great trumpet player, with whom he had played previously in Boston the year before, he got a 6-week gig through him at Michael's Pub. Roy also paved the way for him to work with the great singer Anita O'Day, one of my favorites, I love her, and Hank Jones. He got to work and learn from people like Eldridge, Illinois Jacket, Vic Dickinson, Joe Jones. Eldridge was a big influence on Scott, and he said that he is grateful for him being extremely critical of his playing and really mentoring him. A lot of times you hear that from the really good jazz musicians, the successful jazz musicians are open usually to taking criticism, even if it's tough criticism. And so Scott said he's always been grateful for that. And so he had this mentorship with Eldridge. In December of the same year, John Bunch got Scott his first recording date for Famous Door, was also responsible for him joining Benny Goodman. He worked with Goodman all the way until the early 80s. 1977, he formed his own quartet, which later became a quintet. The same year, Carl Jefferson heard him. He began recording him for his Concord record label. And he made more than over 40 albums for Concord Records. And he's got an extensive discography. You should really go check it out. I had no idea that Scott had made this many records. And again, I love learning about new musicians. So, but along the way, he's recorded with Woody Herman, Tony Bennett, Jerry Mulligan, Flip Phillips, Maxine Sullivan, Buddy Tate, made several records with Rosemary Clooney. And over the years, he toured and performed with the Concord Jazz All-Stars. So I go check out his discography. It's pretty impressive. Now you've got these other three people that I had to go at least do some research on. So I'm going to give you just brief backgrounds on the other three players on this CD. Miles Black on piano, born in 1966, Port Alberni, British Columbia, Canada. When he was 11 years old, he studied classical music on piano. 3 years later, he's performing in public. So it sounds like he was kind of a child prodigy. By the age of 18, he had worked with as a bassist, a guitarist, a saxophonist, vocalist, film composer, music therapist, and music director at the CAST Theater Company. 1987, he moved to Vancouver, taught piano at the Capilano College in Vancouver from 1990 to 1996, and toured Canada in 1986 with his quartet. He played piano and keyboards for musical theater and recording sessions for television and film. He has written over 350 songs with vocalist Glenda Ray and has produced music instruction software. He's been a member of Skywalk and Altered Laws with saxophonist Tom Keenlyside. Black has also worked with Carl Allen, Henry Sweets Edison, Jim Ferguson, Maynard Ferguson, Slide Hampton, Fraser McPherson, Mark Murphy, Houston Person, Max Roach, and the list goes on. So he's played with a lot of people, very successful career. And again, wonderful to learn about these guys. And I can't wait to see what they're going to sound like on here. So coming quick, so bear with me. Bill Coon on guitar, born in 1959 in Canada, Etobicoke, Ontario. He's performed with artists such as Miles Black and Jodi Proznick, the Trilogy, which we're going to hear here with those two. He's played with Lonnie Smith, Brad Turner, Peter Bernstein, Bucky Pizzarelli, Peter Washington, and many others. His compositions and arrangements have been commissioned by large ensembles such as the CBC Radio Orchestra. He graduated from Concordia University with a Bachelor's of Fine Arts and Jazz Studies in 1988 and a Master's of Education from Simon Fraser University in 2012. He's a faculty member at the Capilano University as well as the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra School of Music. So another guy that's been very successful. Then we have the bass player, Jodi Prosnik. Born in 1975 in Surrey, British Columbia. She began playing her double bass when she was 13 years old and was taught by her father, who's a musician and educator, David Proznick. While attending the Semiamu Secondary School, she won General Motors Award of Excellence in 1993. She attended McGill University from 93 to 98, where she met future collaborators such as pianist Tilden Webb, drummer Jesse Cahill, who you've heard on some of the records here reviewed, and tenor saxophonist Steve Kaldestad. She also she was a winner of the IAGE Sisters in Jazz competition in 1998 and moved to Vancouver in 2000. She won Bassist of the Year at the National Jazz Awards in 2008 and 2009. Alongside Oliver Gannon, Prosnick was the opening act for Oscar Peterson in 2004. She's been featured performer with the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra, the Vancouver Chamber Choir, and the Electra Woman's Choir. 2008, she co-founded Trilogy alongside guitarist Bill Coon and pianist Miles Black, again, who we're going to hear on the CD here. Alongside pianist and educator Amanda Tossoff, Prosnick formed the Astara Project in 2022, an all-female jazz supergroup. Project released their self-titled debut album in 2022 and featured saxophonist Alison Au, trumpeter Rachel Theron, and guitarist Jocelyn Gould. drummer Santa Cordora, and vocalist Joanna Majoko or Mahoko. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Again, sorry, I butcher names on here all the time. The album was nominated for the Jazz Vocal Album of the Year in 2023 Juno Awards, marking Proznick's third Juno nomination. And finally, in her career, she has performed with or recorded with musicians including Michael Bublé, Sarah McLachlan, George Coleman, Ed Thigpen, Seamus Blake, Eddie Daniels, Peter Bernstein, Sheila Jordan, David Fathead Newman, Harold Mayburn. I mean, the list goes on. Charles McPherson, Bucky Pizzarelli, Eric Alexander. Anyways, she's played with a lot of people. She's currently the director of jazz studies at the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra School of Music. All right, let's get to this and listen to this music on here, which I've not heard. Again, this will be a reaction video. This was produced by Corey Weeds and marked recorded at Monarch Studios in Vancouver, British Columbia on June 30th of 2024. This was engineered, mixed, and mastered by Sheldon Zaharko, who has done several of these Cellar Music projects. You've got 9 tunes on here. The album is interesting because there's no drums. So I'm going to throw it in here. We're going to listen to this. I'm going to put on the first track called Luna, which is 7 minutes and 25 seconds. All the tunes on here are at least 4.5 minutes in range, all the way up to over 7 minutes. So let's put it on. We've got, looks like some standards here as well as some originals. So let me go ahead and take the CD out and put it in the old Oppo CD player here. That's your CD. And here is the all right, let's hit it. Let's spin it. This should be interesting. No drums, which should make a completely different way to arrange these tunes. This is Jodi Prosnick original, the bass player on this. Nice. A little bit more of a traditional sounding mix. So Scott's sax over here on the left, more of a pan left sound. Piano favors the right side. So it's a little bit more harder panning than some of the modern type recordings, some of the other ones I've reviewed. The guitar's over here on the right side. Seems to be more down the center. Nice sounding recording, I must say. Piano to the right. tone. It really has a nice warm sound. Really did a nice job with this. Love that guitar tone. Nice depth to this recording. Nice. Very interesting. I really like this. Without the drums, it really just lets everything kind of breathe. Very impressive with no drums and the way it still swings and the way they all play together. Really cool. So the next tune's called Pmplon Turnpike, which was written by Will Osborne and Dick Rogers. It was a big hit for Charlie Barnett's band back in the 40s. love that guitar. Bass sounds really nice. It's, again, really nice sound of recording. Sax sounds wonderful. It's more in both speakers. Although it does favor the left side. It's like you're sitting in front of the band. You've got the piano over here to the right, bass down the center. Guitar over here. The sax player's like sitting like right here, standing right here, so it's really nice sound. Nice swinging tune. I'm really impressed. Definitely more of a laid back feel, but the playing is just very engaging. That was really cool. I'm digging this. Let me put on Moose the Mooch, Charlie Parker tune, track 5. Let's put that on and listen to that. Piano sounds great. Really like his playing a lot. Nice. Tell these guys have all, and gal, they've been playing for a long time and they're well seasoned. They sound really good together. And it's kind of interesting how you have a certain instrument that kind of anchors the groove at different times, whether it's the piano or the bass. The guitar too does some nice cool rhythmic things in here. Trio there. Awesome. Very cool. I'm going to listen to one called Highfly, which is a Randy Weston tune. Yeah, classic standard here. Great record. You can hear everything so well, you know, with no drums. You really hear the musicality of each person playing. This is definitely a clinic, whether it's piano playing, guitar playing, bass playing, or sax playing. If you're a musician, this is a delight to listen to, for sure. Yeah, there's nothing to hide behind here. You can't lay back and hide behind the drums or anything, you know. It's everything's right out in front. also something to think about is when you listen to something like this, you really appreciate the musicality of each of these musicians, how they're playing. And they're playing what's fitted for the arrangement and how it suits the tune. Yeah. So there's nobody overplaying. Everything is so musical. Yeah, so for people that like straight ahead jazz, I think you're going to dig this. And again, if you're a musician, you play any instrument, this is definitely a really cool album. I'm really impressed. And again, it sounds great the way it was recorded and mixed and mastered. Sounds very good. It's more of a traditional mix, you know, with more panning and things like that than you have on some. Highfly there. Let's close out on track 9, which is called Blues for Frazz, and this is an original by the piano player Miles Black. Very cool. I'm very impressed. If you haven't got that message yet, this is really cool. I definitely recommend going and checking this out. Really cool. Something different. Stay tuned. Wednesday, I'll be reviewing Emirovich Willem Simcock new duo album coming up Wednesday, so stay tuned. I'm excited to hear this. Another great release by Corey on the Cellar label. This is definitely really cool, so go check this out. I recommend it. Again, just listening to how they play together, no drums, everything is so really carefully. The arrangements are really nice. But what I really appreciate is the musicality of each of these players and how they move back and forth during these pieces. Everything's so tasty. timing. And that's a really tough tempo here to keep swinging when you got all these gaps in there. It's a pretty slow tempo. It's really... tendency to want to speed something like this up, and it just holds right in there to that tempo and just swings. You have all these spaces in there. Anyways. Lively sounding recording too. Her playing too. Awesome. I'm really digging this. So, all right. I appreciate you guys joining me, giving this new music a chance. Go check this out. This is a great discovery for me, so I'm really digging this. Happy listening, and we'll see you on the next video on Wednesday. We got the vinyl review coming up, and Moravich, so stay tuned. We'll see you. Take care.